You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever strive just to stay alive. That simple means it. Nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a lion. Strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Strength. No weakness. Show me a lion. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. That's God. And I'm a kind of fellow. Put my trust in God. Put my trust in God. That simple means it. Nobody. Nobody can. Yeah. You gotta be firm in this. As you're coming, go ahead and share the thing, people. Share the thing. Put the program on your page and say, I share. It's Monday. Yeah? Well, you already know that, right? Why I keep reminding you guys what day of the week it was? You guys know this stuff. But I just want to remind myself. Yeah, I just want to remind myself. Okay. Hey, how you doing? First up, Natasha Charles. Natasha Charles, welcome to the ride. You're the first one on the inside. Hi, Natasha Charles. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. And also, hey, Teresa, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Hey, how you doing? Deanne Fraser, share the thing, share the thing. Jacinta, I share. Jacinta, how you doing, girl? What go? Why you seeing, Jacinta? I just want to tag a few friends. Hey, Garden, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Jacinta, Garden, Teresa, Deanne Fraser, and everybody, come on. As you're coming, go ahead and share the thing and all. You know what's happening, right? We're still under the sanction by Facebook. So which means that in order for all your friends to get notification, what you have to do, you have to invite them. Yeah, that's the ordeal that we're gonna be going through for the next at least the next couple weeks or so, because we are under some sanction by Facebook. We'll get over it though. We'll get over it. How you doing, Natasha? So everybody share, Andrew, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Everybody share. I want everybody to share. I want everybody to share and say I share. I want everybody to share and say I share. I'm doing that right now as well. Watch party time. Hey, how you doing? Lacey J, how you doing? Yeah, everybody share the thing. Listen. It's important that that we understand that at this point in time, why you guys have to help us get this word out. I told you guys last week, right? So when I was like about last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, there was some incident that happened here in the US, and we posted a news article telling people what actually happened. And I don't know if Facebook misconstrued what we were doing. For some reason, they just decided to sanction us. So with that sanction that they're giving us, a lot of people have not gotten notification. They ain't get notification because Facebook started to limit our syndication. They start to limit the syndication to the amount of people they send out until the next 2 weeks or so. So we have to do this, guys. We have to share. Kennedy tweet Philip. Yeah, man, sanction and we backside. Sanction and we backside, man. So they're just not sending out as much notifications for the next 2 weeks, and hopefully it makes us stronger because everybody's gonna start sharing more, right? Sharing is caring. Hey, Kareen. Long time I don't listen. Good night, people. Happy New Year. Well, it's been a while. You like the shirt? I'll give it to you, Lacey J. If you were decide, I'll give it to you. I'll take the shirt off my back and give it to you. Yeah, I'll take the shirt off my back and give it to you. You know I'll do it. All right. All right, guys. Let me tell you guys what we're going to be talking about today. It's very, 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 very important, right? So first thing, Mo, big up yourself. Thank you so much. I share. First thing, I want everybody to share. If you shared already, I want you to share it one more time. And also, I want you to start a watch party. So that's the first thing. That is the first thing. I want everybody to share and start a watch party. I want everybody to share and start a watch party. All right? Everybody share right now and start a watch party. Everybody share? Let me know if everybody share so we can start. Because I want to start. I want to bring in Dr. Pancho because we have a lot to discuss today. We have a lot of stuff to discuss today. But I want to make sure everybody get a notification. Deanne Fraser, make sure everybody share. Lacey J, you share. Yes. Kennedy tweet. Deanne, Lacey. I'm seeing. Everybody share? Everybody share? All right. Yes. Thank you so much. The folks from Canada sharing as well. All right, guys. So watch party, Jacinta. Thank you so much. Watch party is on Jacinta's page. Thank you so much, Jacinta. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I like Mondays because you come back refreshed. Get 2 days off. In my case, I don't get no days off. It's work, and sleep well at night though. But when you see Mondays come, I just love Mondays because it just feels like starting over again. Our next opportunity to make this week an amazing week. I love Mondays. But today in particular, we decided to have this discussion because there are so many things that's happening in this world. There are so many things that's happening. And I decided to have Dr. Augustine Pancho on to talk with us because it seems like there is some kind of crisis of sexual assault and rape in the Caribbean. It seems like there are two pandemics that's happening. There's three, but two main pandemics. There is the COVID-19. There is a misinformation pandemic that has been circulating. And there's also a pandemic of an uprising of sexual abuse and sexual assaults. Now, Dr. Pancho is in a very great position to talk to us about it because he is a clinical psychologist. He works and understands the mind. He's been on the program before, and I'm happy to invite him back on again to chat with us live. Dr. Hey, Pancho, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, really good to be here again, Junior. Happy New Year. This is the first time for 2021. But
yeah.
And we have some restrictions. We have all kinds of things going on. But this too shall pass.
Yeah. And I'm happy that you're saying that, because when I hear you speak, you kind of give me at ease a little bit because there are so much crazy happening, Dr. Pancho. And sometimes you need to ease your mind on things. And I was saying earlier that there's three pandemic that's happening. There's the COVID-19, there is the misinformation pandemic, and now we have like a crisis of sexual abuse that's happening not only in the Caribbean, but it seems like in large parts of the world. Talk to us, Dr. Pancho. Is the studies that have been out there, is it actually what you're seeing in terms of an increase in sexual abuse, sexual assault in the Caribbean at the moment, and why you think is the reasons or the reason for it?
Yeah, here is something about sexual abuse and sexual perpetration. There is an understanding that many people are very opportunistic, and that's why we call them predators. They prey on the unsuspecting, the vulnerable, and also they use hardships, whether it's economic hardship, emotional hardship, relational hardship, to prey upon people. And so what we are going to find, well, what we have started to find already, is that during the lockdown, the pandemic created another beast, another pandemic, in the sense that um, vulnerable people were locked up with predators, and there was an environment that was really ripe for predators to thrive. And so it won't be surprise me if we are going to have a lot of pregnancies and or a lot of incestuous reports of incest. And maybe we might find out that we have a lot of domestic violence and even um, rape, sexual perpetration of crimes against women and men also. So we're not going to just be talking about sexually perpetrating on women. Also men are vulnerable. And you see, because during this time, the environment was as of such, people were forced, and who was listening? Very few. Our attention, Junior, was diverted. It was diverted to staying healthy, wearing masks, the protocols, etc. And this piece, the social aspect, we kind of slighted on it. Um, and it's not only in Grenada, throughout the Caribbean. It is going to, we're not going to see the full effect of sexual crimes re COVID-19 until a couple of years from now.
Yeah, Dr. Panja, is it that these acts of sexual assault and sexual violence has been going on unreported for years, and just now people are getting very savvy, people are home, people have access, more access, that has been
Yeah.
reported more? Which is it?
No, I think it's two. Junior, I am of the opinion that there are more sexual crimes committed against humanity now. But also, I have to agree with you that the prevalence of social media, the prevalence of technology, the prevalence of being bold, I think education has really played a very vital role in the lives of people to empower them to create for them a certain kind of awareness. It's good to see people in the community responding and making efforts to protect other people who are not necessarily their relatives and or their family. So one, there is an increase in abuses, and secondly, there is the influx now of technology and the boldness with which people are now edified and they are empowered to call. A lot of people who used to take sexual abuse in years gone by, they are now empowered through education. So our educational system is working in some ways. Educational programs on television and radio, these are playing their part in allowing people now to feel empowered, that they can come forward and about um, they can talk about what is happening.
Yeah, and that is important. I want you to assist us, right, guys. We're talking to Dr. Pancho, and we're trying to understand about the rise, the increase in that crisis, the crisis of sexual assault. It seems like it's been more prevalent now, and we're really trying to get into the minds, Dr. Pancho, and I want you to help me here. So, someone who commit an act of sexual assault, right? Do you find in your daily working in the field that the person or person who commit those act of sexual assault, when you look deep into their story, that they were also victims of sexual assault themselves? Do you see the
Okay.
correlation?
Yeah. Well, there is a relationship, Junior, and all of our listeners. There is a relationship between being a victim and being a perpetrator. Now, a lot of people tend to think, and that's the thought, So let me dispel that thought. The thought is it's called the victim to perpetrator cycle. Many people believe that if you were abused as a child, then there is a high tendency for you to turn out to be a perpetrator. That's not what the research says. The research says that 23 to 25% of all persons who have been sexually abused as a child turn out to perpetrate sexual abuse on other people. Only, and I don't want to minimize it. So when I sorry for saying the word only, but
Right.
25%. So and 25% is way too many, Junior. Okay. So quarter of all, and most of the time it's males, right? It's the
Mm.
male who perpetrate sexual violence or on other people. It's a greater percentage. In fact, it is like 89% of those who perpetrate sexually are males. Okay,
Right.
11% women. Um, but but the research suggests that there is something else that causes the human being, the male or female, to perpetrate sexually upon another. There is more than just sexual abuse. And maybe we should segue into what are some of the things. Junior, I submit tonight that all forms of childhood trauma, we call it adverse childhood experiences. All forms of adverse childhood experiences can lead someone to have a break in reality, to have what is called a disassociation with with the responsibility and perpetrate on another person.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, sexually based crimes, whether it is rape, whether it's incest, whether it is whatever it is, those who commit these sexual crimes against society are what we call predators.
Right.
They prey. They look
Yes.
for opportunities. They look for people who are vulnerable. They look for single women with children. You understand what I'm saying? Who because of economic situation becomes even more vulnerable.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. And they look for lonely children, alone children, children who might suffer from mental illnesses like depression or anxiety. Um, so 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 predators, that's what they do. They seek in wait, they evaluate the situation, ready to pounce. And a lot of times, if we are not very careful, our children, unsuspecting as they might be, can become victims to sexually perpetrated crimes against them because we seldom understand the mindset of a predator.
Right. Right. No, no, there's precedence to what we're speaking about here. Like, in fact, just as of recently, I read an article that point to an incident that recently happened in Grenada where it cites a young man. It says that the article suggested that an individual in question, triggered by the sight of a man who had assaulted him years ago, prompted him to rape a 2-year-old boy.
Mhm.
Right. So he, as a child, was sexually molested by a particular individual, and as he saw the person who sexually molested him at that early age, triggered him to sexually molest someone 2 years old. What is in
Yeah,
the mind of that? Let's look at that survivor. I don't want to call him a victim. That
yeah,
person, the
yeah.
perpetrator of the last incident. What is in the mind of that person to want to do that to something that he was done to him that he himself didn't even like?
Right. So what we find happening here, Junior, is there is no question that a person like that has suffered some form of trauma. no teenager or adult can rationalize, if you are in your sane mind, rationalize sexual perpetrating on a 2-year old. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A 2-year old is a helpless infant. So it is difficult in our estimation to understand how an a teenager or an adult can look at a 2-year old. So something had to trigger him. And it could be his own unresolved traumatic past
Right.
that can trigger him. But maybe there is something there in the article that looking at my perpetrator and seeing him free walking the streets could it could raise up in you a sense of anger that my perpetrator is walking free.
Mm.
Yes, and make you so angry, and you can become delusional or disassociate yourself, okay, with what's going on with reality, to the point where you think maybe I should let somebody, and that's the disassociation I'm talking about. Because disassociation in psychology, Junior, is a break in reality. In other words, you no longer can think rationally and logically. You have a break in your thought processes. And so what
Right.
happens is that you could be so angry that the adrenaline in your body so cloud your mind and your thinking capacity that you start thinking or you start feeling that there is a need for you to get even or to inflict similar pain on another person equivalent to what was inflicted upon you. And that is how the mind works when it is traumatized and the trauma goes untreated.
And it's a good point where you say untreated, guys. Again, let me explain to you guys why this discussion is so very important. It deals with the mind and it deals with current event things that's happening right now, but it's important because it could it could be possibly because we all have mind. It could be any one of us that could react to certain things in a certain way. What makes somebody react to that have been through a similar experience untreated? One person might decide, well, that's not what I'm going to do. In fact, I am going to become an advocate against this. Whereas in
Mm-hmm.
another instant, the same similar instant, different individual
Yeah,
might go ahead and perpetrate the similar incident on somebody else. What in the mind?
right.
What is the difference? Like same untreated.
Junior, it has to do with something that we refer to as impulse control. We are all we're all blessed with a regulator. I'm going to go slow because I want you to really I want our listeners to tap into this reasoning.
Yes.
All human beings have what is called a regulator,
Yeah.
emotional regulation. That is, I can look at something and I can decide whether or not I want to I want to protect or I want to hurt.
Right.
It is the same thing, Junior, that when you drive and you see someone on the street, a woman with children or anybody with children begging, you feel a need and an urge. Nobody has to tell you, Junior, you have $5 in your wallet. Go ahead and give it to that person. There is something in you, inbuilt in you, that reaches out. It's
Right.
called emotional regulation,
Right.
respect for life. You see someone hurting another person, instinctually, as it were, you want to protect that person because we are built that way. Traumatized people very often lose the capacity to self-regulate.
Right.
And this is really important. We call it impulse control. People who lack impulse control have what we call impulse control disorder. It is a disorder that can be treated. You can't really teach people to care. That must come from your neurological system, your parasympathetic nervous system. That's where it comes from. The ability to sympathize, empathize, and feel for other people. We don't teach that. You can't teach that. However, what you can teach is a sense of responsibility. And you can cognitively restructure somebody's distorted thinking to bring them to a place where they can rationalize and look at things in a logical way. And very often, traumatized people, the way their brain cells are structured and wired, it is not wired for emotional regulation.
Right. Right. And this point of the conversation, I wanna bring in a good friend of ours, Michelle, looking great as ever, and
Tired as ever a bit.
Michelle, welcome to
Hi,
the
Michelle.
discussion.
How are you doing, Michelle?
I'm good, Dr. Pancho.
All right.
Nice,
Good to see you. Good to
Mm,
see you. How are the babies?
they're good.
the
Yeah.
babies,
All right.
the
Junior,
Uh-oh.
babies.
you're talking
Uh-oh.
sexual abuse.
Sorry, Junior. Sorry.
You had twins?
Junior, you're talking sexual abuse. You're
Yeah,
late.
right. No, so no, I just
You're
caught
late.
off. I just caught off guard.
You're late. You're late.
We
You're
talk
late.
about
Junior,
an
Junior,
welcome.
you want to be parent to one? I am parent to one already.
We go talk about it. We go talk about it off
Okay.
air. But Michelle, welcome to this great discussion here, and it's important that I think that you have a voice on this because I remember the very first program that we had on Ride Along to deal with anything sexually um, related, sexually molested related was Michelle's story, right? Michelle, I just want to understand this, right? We have two situations from your point of view, from your personal story or from your experience.
Mhm.
We have two situations here where a person who is sexually abused and untreated, both are untreated, but one would veer to perpetrating sexual assault on somebody else, but the other person use it as a way to become an advocate against it. What is the difference between these two people's mind in your personal story, from what you understand?
Hmm. Well, I guess people react to things differently, maybe based on their cognitive development or where they at. I came in late, so I didn't catch much of what Dr. Panchu was explaining. But to me, people would use the situation, either it changed them for the good or it changes them for the bad. In situations where someone would use their sexual abuse, maybe experience, to be uh maybe a better person or not perpetrate the act, it may have to do a lot with their maybe the inner strength or the will or the understanding of maybe pain and how they felt in that moment. So whilst one person may be able to use it positively, another person may be triggered to pass on that pain because I guess maybe healing did not occur and maybe they didn't come to terms with the abuse as yet. Because I think what abuse does, especially at an early age, it causes cognitive dissonance, if that's the right term here, Dr. Panchu is the psychologist. It causes
Yeah, that is a correct terminology to use for distorted thinking.
right. So it causes this dissonance where they cannot come to terms with what is really happening with them or happening to them because at that early age, children, they just want to be children. And in cases where there aren't proper intervention, as we know in the Caribbean, there isn't. And there's a lot to be done as it relates to helping victims. So when there is not proper intervention, they grow with that pain and they grow with that hurt and they hurt others, as they say, hurt people hurt people. So I guess maybe that's the only way I could explain it.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. There is a study. And before we go to the study, Dr. Pancho, I want to dive in a little bit more on this particular case. I don't know how deep you could go in that particular case here. The getting into the mind of that particular individual, and at the moment, if you could, from your professional clinical experience, tell us what was his triggers at the point. We know that what the trigger was, but psychologically, what's going on in his head at the point in time, seeing the person and wanting to commit that act of sexual violence against someone else.
Yeah. Let me also include, Junior. Children, when they are sexually abused, and not just children, but I want to make mention specifically of children. They want part of the healing is for them to understand and to know that the adults in their life or in their lives were there for them, wanted to protect them, did everything within their power to protect them when they relate their story. Now the point is, many children have had instances of sexual perpetration against them, and they were maybe afraid to or embarrassed to tell. When children tell, and I'm this is probably I'm preaching tonight. When children tell, part of the healing process is for them to know that an adult or the adults in their lives believe them and want to stand up for them and want to protect them and will hire a lawyer and will spend the last dollar protecting them and seeking justice for them. That's really important for the healing process. And that's why I encourage any parent who comes to me with a child, I say to them, go all out. You may not get justice, but what is going to be recorded, Junior, is the fact that your efforts are going to be recorded, that you did everything in your power to be there for your child.
Right.
Children want to feel secure. They want to feel safe. And if the parent could not prevent the abuse, but at least they are there through the hurt and the pain and the crying and the court appearances and seeking justice and the marching and the placards, whatever it takes to get justice for your children, it is important.
But in
and
a lot
so
of,
I'm saying,
in a lot of situation, and
yes,
Michelle could probably speak to this. A lot of parents don't even seek that interest. Sometimes the parents even
that's
deny or try to deflect or just
yeah,
don't pay attention.
yeah,
And kids do all kind of thing. They fight in school. They do all kind of thing to get the attention, but they just don't get that attention. What happens to their mind if they don't get treated and they don't get that attention from the guardian?
Dr. Pancho, make a statement that I do like.
Which one?
Even if they may not get justice. I mean, it's a good statement you made.
Oh,
even if they may not
Very
get
few children. Very few children get justice in Grenada.
Yeah, but that
I could tell you.
But that in itself speaks to the system that we're living in, and the system that is set up that does not provide the help that victims need. And I mean, to make a statement like that, it's very sad. It's depressing, although it is the reality. So what we need to do as a society is to find ways where we could intervene at an early age. And one of these intervention could be proper justice. Because, for example, to me, and that is what I believe, and I have a very strong conviction on that, I believe that with the lack of a proper facility where victims can be placed, that is conducive to not only the physical health, but the psychological and emotional health, sexual crimes should be non-bailable, in the sense that when someone create a sexual act. I don't know what case are they talking about. If it's, let's take for example, most recently, what is being done is that they are sent to another parish. Now, if you take a sexual perpetrator, which means that that person has a weakness, right? There's a likelihood, a very strong likelihood, that this individual will commit a crime again. But you take them and you place them in another parish. What becomes of those innocent children or whosoever is in that parish? They become vulnerable. They become the next easy target. So what we need to see is changes in policy from top come down, because if we don't see that, or if that doesn't take place, we would keep repeating this cycle, and there would just be a whole society of brokenness, a whole society of children with dissonance, with disorders and things that we know trying to fix. So the question should be, how do we as a society curb the incidences of sexual act and sexual violence? How do we do that?
Yeah, and Dr. Pancho, that is a good question, because oftentimes, it seems like the system fail. It seems like the system is failing. It's the children. Oftentimes, I sometimes get the chills, right? Knowing that when a child, or if a child got sexually assault, then they have to face the accuser when they go in court, and
Yeah.
somebody have to go understand, and
Yeah.
and being asked questions by lawyers.
Mhm.
That is a deterrent. Like no child wants to go through. No adult want to go through that. Nobody wants to go
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, but
And
Yeah.
we need to
yeah,
read what I believe, right? We're supposed to be, I mean, a lot has changed. We're not in the 1980s or 1977 anymore. We're at a place where we're more technologically advanced. So why do we still have to have a 10-year-old or a 6-year-old facing his or her abuser, knowing the fear that the abuser instill, when we could just collect a video and have that as evidence? Why do we
Well,
still clinging to
I
the
I don't know. I hear you, and I think that is the call for for a revision of our legal system and the laws that pertain to sexual abuse, whether it's children and or women or men. Okay, I agree. I agree. There is no question that we need someone in our policy making capacity, somebody who has a strong desire to make a difference. And over the years, remember Ariel Bowler, Ariel Bowler,
yeah,
that case drew on the blood stream of Grenadians. And if Grenadians had their way, they were going to dismember the person responsible for perpetrating that crime. Well, last year he was sentenced. Okay? But there is no clamor, there is no voice. And we're waiting for another one to happen so that we can reignite the passion. But where the passion must come, Junior, is from our lawmakers. Let me tell you something. For
Exactly.
things to change, our lawmakers must be the ones to initiate these bills before the Senate.
That's correct.
hmm
And they're not doing it. They do not have the kahunas for it. And I can say that. I'm telling you, you watch them, and they do not have, our system does not have the intestinal fortitude to really defend our children. And I cringe. And Michelle, I agree with you. Me saying that children do not get justice in Grenada, it's a sad way to analyze and to conclude. But that's the reality.
It is.
Because
yeah,
I've seen children that I have evaluated and I've done the forensic work on, and I know there is a perpetrator, and the police cannot file a case. You know why? They're weak. They can't file a case because the director of public prosecution says we don't have a case here. Because you know why? Not that we don't have a case, and it's not because the DPP office is weak. The laws are weak. So when you have something like that, because of the way the ways the laws are structured, it does not give you teeth. It does not give you a bite. So you just have to abandon many cases of children, because children very often, Junior, 2 and 3 year old, they cannot articulate it verbally, but they can tell you emotionally who hurt them and where they have been hurt. And the laws in Grenada do not protect them. And that is really sad.
That is very, 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 very sad. I mean,
Yeah.
what is cringing is that you have laws that doesn't protect children, and in a lot of cases, you have the parent, or in cases, say it's a domestic situation, that something happened, and then the state doesn't take up the case. So if the person go and they say, okay, well, I'm not going to file the case because, for whatever reason, he's the breadwinner of the family, he brings in the money,
Yeah.
whatever, and I don't want to file the case. So then, if they're not filing the case, the state
But-
doesn't take up the case.
But Junior, there shouldn't be nothing like though filing the case. There is something called mandatory
Yeah.
reporting.
Okay.
Based on
Yeah.
the laws of Grenada, we
Yeah.
have something called mandatory reporting. So if somebody don't report, then they should be arrested. But then we're not even seeing that. And the other thing is, what's alarming to me, right? We have a lot of issues. I mean, there's a lot of social issues that we face as a trial and state, but we don't give priority to the social issues that we face. We must study in things that would bring in monies. But if we leave these social ills or these social issues unattended, it would manifest in a way that the economic side of it would also be affected. But the alarming thing is, Grenada, the way our parliament set up, we have how much? Seven females. So we should be seeing greater advocacy when it comes to issues that are affecting our women and that are affecting our children, because they are not yours. Women are not yours. They understand. So then we should be able to see that passion when it comes to changing the laws and changing the policies and really fighting for these issues, because children cannot fight for themselves. And if we continue to live with the justice system that we have, that is there, we would resort to some kind of jungle justice in the future unless something is really done.
And that is sad. That is sad. Dr. Pancho, I want to bring your attention to this quick study. According to the Caribbean Development Bank analysis, gender and gender-based violence in the Caribbean, 1 in 3 women in Grenada has experienced some form of sexual assault. The number goes to 1 in 10 people when they factor in the individual of gender. So that means that when you factor in men into that equation, it falls down to 1 in 10. So
Yeah.
a lot of men are being sexually abused, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual, but men don't report it because there's a lot of shame that's associated with being sexually abused, especially in a man. What could be done, or what is being done, right? That first figure, the 1 in 3 women, what is being done, or what could be done to fix that alarming number? 1 in 3 women?
Yeah. Junior, let me say this here. There are so many sexual perpetrators in Grenada that you may marvel.
Wow.
To see and to know. You know, sex for work, sex for promotion. These are crimes, Junior. These are crimes.
And the politics are how they have
Significant.
They have wood for wood.
Significant people.
For lumber.
I don't know if I should call them significant, really, but seemingly important people in Grenada perpetrate themselves sexually on vulnerable women, and for them, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. I mean, I could sit here and I could make a list for you and
Uh,
publish it of attorneys, ministers, all of which have children outside who we know, but society does not consider them to be sexual perpetrators. But they are predators. Because, Junior, remember, I established the meaning of who a predator is. A predator sits there. He looks like a lion. He looks for the weak animal in the flock. So the woman who has many children and don't have a job, well, that's
yeah,
what, you know? The single people, the people who society they really don't have a thing for, yes. And so they are predators. That's what goes on in the mind, you know. So they sit in the office, Junior, and day in, day out plot how to perpetrate on vulnerable people,
yeah,
where male or female. So 1 in 3 is a really devastating statistic, but it's the reality.
yeah,
It's the reality. And when you look at the society in Grenada, where so many households are headed by strong women, it tells you, and the unemployment rate among women is higher than men.
yeah,
So where does that leave our women? That leaves our women exposed, exposed to men who are predators.
yeah, yeah,
And sometimes, you know, Junior, out of just sheer survival, the need to survive, a woman may be willing to do a lot of things because she has to survive.
True.
And Junior, perpetrators and predators, they know that. And because they know that, that for them is a nest of comfort.
yeah,
And that is where the statistics is high. It is atrocious. It is mind-boggling. In fact, it is something to abhor, not something to like. But even when you put in the equation with men, 1 in 10, Junior, 1 in 10 means 1/10.
yeah.
1/10 of 100,000 population means 10,000, Junior. So as
Ooh,
we speak right now, between men and women, 10,000. You didn't do the math. I'm doing it while I'm talking.
yeah. I see right here.
10,000 of our population right now.
Are predators.
That's what the CDB statistics say. 10,000 of our population right now are victims of sexual perpetration, sexual crimes against them.
Yeah, that is
And not
that is
one time, you know. We're talking about repeated offenses, you know.
yeah.
So as we
That
go to bed tonight, 10,000 children, women, and men are the hands of sexual perpetrators.
Hmm.
And
wow.
our laws are not looking at that. Think about it.
That is a crazy, crazy, crazy statistic when you look at it.
Yeah.
And as unemployment rise and as the pandemic gets worse, there are multiple areas that's affecting. Not only that you're locked into a house
Mhm.
and you can't go no place. That's one factor. But as you see, there's more
Right.
layoff and people need more things, and people willing to do more
Yeah.
things for things to get money to feed their children or to feed themselves or to keep their roof over their head. So in a lot of cases, they become kind of like needy for material things, and that gets translated. And the predators know that. Some predators
Oh,
they see what's happening and they take advantage of that situation. So it's a double
yeah.
fold. It's a double fold.
Yeah. Hmm.
How could
Hmm.
what what do you think, or how could this be stemmed, Michelle? I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. How could this be? What could be done? Because this is crazy.
But the other thing is this, right? In most cases, the perpetrators are repeated offenders. So it means that they may have gone to jail, came out from jail, and they're still doing these kind of crimes. So I mean, that thing does get me angry. So the question here is, how do or how does society help the perpetrators? Do you just send them in Richmond Hill and have them sitting there, and then you release them back into society where everyone else become vulnerable? Because the statistics, it's sad, Junior, and it's depressing. And then just to hear the numbers, I mean, it's something that it makes you cringe, and especially during this pandemic where children are being locked in with their abusers, and then the next thing is they're afraid to speak, and even if they want to speak, as Dr. Pancho said, and it's a correlation, it correlates. When a mother are unable to provide for her children, if she has 10 children and one child is being abused, she may not choose to stand with that one child because she would think about the well-being of the other nine. So these are the reality, and what we need to ask ourselves
Yeah.
again, instead of being reactive, right? We always reactive. We have to find proactive ways to deal with these issues. So how can we prevent it? How do we empower women so that they are less dependent on these men? Because if you look at the statistics again, they just read the budget, you would see that they're over 38% of our population, if I'm correct, is they don't have a secondary level education, right? What that does, it
Mhm.
makes you vulnerable because you're not marketable enough to get a job. So there you are still dependent on these men or on a man who would exploit your situation, because nobody, I mean, people give, but there's nothing like a free meal, and it's sad. It's really sad
Mhm.
to know that there are grown
Mhm.
men in our society who would think that
Mhm.
a form of payback is to sleep with someone's underage child and abuse somebody. And then the thing is, we don't look at the psychological impact
Yeah.
of these
You
these,
you
these
said
issues.
you said something there, Michelle, that I want to throw at Dr. Pancho. You talk about being reactive, proactive rather than reactive, right? Dr. Pancho, I have the firm belief that everyone have a story to tell. Everyone have a story. So the reason why someone might act a certain way, and that's my belief, the reason why someone might act a certain way, the reason why someone might talk a certain way, the reason why someone might always want to fight sometimes, if you really look deeply into their story, you'll see and isolate a period of time, right? Of something that happened at some point in time that made them feel that way. I remember looking deeply into somebody's story, and I'm not a psychologist, right? This person always like to fight, Dr. Pancho. They always like to fight. Everything they fighting, they're on social media, they're fighting, 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 fighting. And I try to understand, why is it you always fighting every time you're fighting? When you look at it, right, Dr. Pancho, and the person broke down and told me, when they was younger, well, they wasn't very tall. They was short, a shorter person. And they felt like people was always taking advantage of them. And the defense, because they're a little bit short, they felt like they always have to fight to that's the height. The height is that they could cost everybody, and that is their story. So in
Yeah.
a sexual predator, if you look deep into their story and you don't be reactive to it, you be proactive to it, is to provide clinical, psychological evaluation, psychological assistance, provide more of your type, Dr. Pancho, within the community, and let's assess these criminals and try to isolate the problem so that they could live possibly a more prosperous life, because now we isolate what the problem is. Is this making any sense?
Of course, it is making sense, Junior. Let me say this here. Let me say this here. There is no question that people who have unresolved hurt tend to perpetrate their anger and their frustration on other people.
Mhm.
That's research. So, and that is good to know that. It therefore means if we have conscientious lawmakers, conscientious leaders and politicians in our community, they too understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and if they understand that, you would think that they will say, let me try to make a difference. Let me empower women so they become less vulnerable. Let me educate men so that they become more appreciative of women and people in general. You
Right.
understand? The
Yeah.
education system must include that kind of education and empowerment. The economic fabric must engender self-sufficiency
Yes.
so that we have less. And and let me tell you this here. The third point I want to make, Junior, is a
Hmm.
hard one to me. I did the research of the 400 inmates at Richmond Hill Prison. 60% of them, 60%, Junior,
Hmm.
have an offense of sexual perpetration.
60%.
Yeah, yeah.
But that means upon
Yes,
release,
Junior.
that 60% is most likely to commit crimes, sexual crime again, if they don't get the proper intervention.
That's
Right.
what I said. You need
But
more
let me
Dr.
put it in.
Pancho.
Hold on there, Michelle. I want you to say that again. But 60% of 400, Junior,
Uh-huh.
is 240.
Right.
Multiply that
So
by
more than half of the inmates, they have in their charges a crime of sexual perpetration.
Hmm.
So what I'm making here, come on, our lawmakers, our politicians, they know something like that. This is not new, but if you were to look at the treatment for prisoners, re-sex offending, it is zero, non-existent.
Mm.
What that tells me, Junior, is the point Michelle is making. When these people leave prison, they have had no rehabilitation, no treatment. They are now what we call recidivists. That is, they go back and they do the same thing or something similar to that again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, educate our men to be respectful, educate our women, empower them, economic stability, and treat those who have offended. If we
Yeah.
do those three things, if we got people to make it happen, Junior, we are going to have less and less and less and less, always.
Yeah. I mean, I feel I really feel I'm happy. First of all, I'm happy that we had this discussion here. I'm very, very happy because it makes me understand clearer now by your statistic, Dr. Pancho, what the problem is. The problem is, well, we know the system, but one of the other bigger problem is the people that are there to change the laws. They don't have the test. What is it?
calculus, but it-
The test. The
whatever
fortitude.
fortitude.
I
The
call it the
fortitude.
intest. Yeah. Oh boy.
Because Dr.
But
Pancho,
but it's more than that, eh?
but that is a startling
Junior,
statistic.
it's more than it's yeah. Look, Junior. I am reading the statistics. Well, I mean, I'm not reading. I know them by heart. I mean,
Right.
and it's not just me. Trust me, the politicians, they know the statistics.
Hmm.
But come
You
on.
read it,
But
you
but
see it, you smell it.
Hmm.
And
you
what
have
are they doing about it?
that is crazy.
Because priority is not.
So
But
they
that's
know
really
that they
true.
know they basically know that that's the problem, but there has been very few legislation to fix the problem. So what the hell are you doing?
Yes.
You're kicking the can down the road, and you're
Yeah.
not dealing with the problem. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
crazy.
don't just blame the politician. You know, you have to. Our politicians are a reflection of who we are.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
these are the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
we put there to represent us. What are the society at large? So we have how much people in parliament in powers? 15, and we have a population of 100 and how much thousand? What are the rest doing to help fight against this issue? This is a
Yeah.
time when we should be raising our voice, speaking out on behalf of our children because they cannot protect themselves. So while we sit and blame the politicians, we must also blame ourselves for not taking actions and not trying our best to protect our nation's children.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Michelle. I definitely agree with you. There is there is much more of us than there are politicians or parliamentarians. And I'm not saying the responsibility by any chance of the imagination is theirs. I'm saying churches, other people, just like regular people like us, could could fight that. The point here is though that is when we fight, it seems as though our fight has no teeth, it has no impact, nobody is listening.
True.
And that is the hurtful piece of it, because there are many people in Grenada who have fought, spend a lifetime fighting. They're no longer around to fight, and nothing has changed. Nothing, or if anything has changed, very little progress we have made. I think, Junior, in this 21st century, we need to be more vibrant. We need to be more protective of our population. We need to be more proactive. We need to protect our children. Junior, the World Health Organization say that the greatest threat to the health of the world is not AIDS and coronavirus, and is none of the physical illnesses. It's childhood trauma. That's what they say, June. Childhood trauma is the single most devastating health concern of the world.
Wow.
Yes. Because we have medicine for AIDS. Look, we got a vaccine for the coronavirus. You know what we have not had the ability to get a vaccine for? Is when parents physically and emotionally and sexually abuse children. There is no vaccine for that. That's why we need new laws that are sensitive to the plight of our children and vulnerable people, women and men alike, to be enacted on their behalf so that they can feel protected. That's what we need.
Cassandra is saying that's one of the challenges we continue to face. Victim blaming are perpetrated mostly by women. Wow, interesting.
Sadly.
Victim blaming are perpetrated mostly by women. Interesting. I would think that women would be more compassionate in a situation like that. I don't know how statistically true that is. Is it true that victim blaming are mostly perpetrated by women?
Junior, I shouldn't be asking that. You ever notice when a child go missing and they post that child on social media platform, who you see saying the most thing, oh, she go by she man, oh, she did this, or it's normally the females. And then we don't know the story behind it. No, but that's true. She's correct.
Wow.
It's always the female.
It could be.
We have a real problem. We have a real problem at 100. It's not just
Yes.
but this is like a systemic problem. The system needs to really change, and quick, because it's not really fixing it's not fixing. You put somebody in jail, they commit a crime, they brutalize someone, they go to jail, they come back out sometimes worse than they went in.
Yeah, but punishment is designed in a way that it should deter somebody from committing an act. But if we look at what is happening, it's not deterrent. So that's mean it really needs to change. It needs to change.
Yeah.
This guys, this is go ahead, Dr. Pancho.
We have to also remember, Junior, it is sad to say that on this forum, or it's sad to say that in general. It doesn't matter where you are. There are some people who will not be rehabilitated. In other words, you could work from sun up to sundown with them. You could employ a plethora of psychological strategies and interventions, and it will not help them. There is a place for people like that to be locked up.
Castrate them.
Well, the International Human Rights Organization will not look gently upon such a behavior, Michelle. But what I tell you is that there are places for people like that. They lock them up, but we have them. I mean, oh gosh, look, didn't you read the newspaper recently of a high-ranking person in Grenada? He's accused. He is, and we could almost call his name because he can't do us anything. But he is accused of sexual perpetration, removed from a certain high job and placed in another high job, where he has more. Watch it, Junior. This man now has more access to vulnerable women and children than he had when he was working.
I'll call his name.
Call his name.
Because the person called me already and they tell me the whole story. And I spoke to him. I called him and I spoke to him. I told him I was going to put the story out. I'm just looking for some additional information, Dr. Pancho. But when I heard that he was moved from where he was, very close with the Prime Minister, he was all over the place. He was moved to another place, and he's now running a very, very, probably a bigger job with more access.
Yes. Access to women, Junior, access to women. That's not hearsay, Yeah. The reason he was removed is because of the allegation.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
So you see what the authorities are doing regarding laws. That's why they're so coward. And I say that without any apology. I don't care who is listening. They are a big bunch of cowards. Mm-hmm. They will not stand up for our children and our vulnerable. And as soon as you see certain times of the cycle comes, they are champion of the causes. And for 3 and 4 years, they are dormant and mute. And our children and our women suffer. And that can't be right, Junior.
I think as media, I think
we have another question. I have a question again. I have a question, Junior. And I'm holding you, Dr. Pancho, accountable on that one. So here we are. We have information, right? Let me show you how society feeling. We have information. We know that there was somebody that, whatever they just, oh gosh, hold on, wait, let me cool it, because I kind of, it gets in a sense. Yeah. Here we know. Dr. Pancho, he's a media person, Dr. Pancho, there, he's a clinical psychologist. We know of the situation that exists, but yet for all, we just sit down and we hands folded and we hope to investigate more. How do we hold those that's supposed to represent us accountable? Because something like that, it's just sad, and that's something we should just sit down with and say, well, he been moved. No, we cannot accept that. And these are the things we've been accepting, and that's why the cycle continues.
But in our defense here, right? In our defense here, I believe you have to be right. In my case, right now, I've exposed a lot. If you go back to some of the videos that I personally have done, I've exposed a lot of sexual related incidents that have even caused the investigation. When the RGPF reopened up the investigation on the guy, is because we broke the story. It's because we broke the story, and it forced people to do things, because it seemed like whenever they see it on social media, they start to move, right? There are situations, but I firmly believe as a media entity, you still have to know. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about sources but I want to nail this individual. I want to have much information as possible to nail that individual, and his time hasn't passed. It just hasn't reached us yet.
Yeah, but Junior, I have to agree with you. His time has not passed. And Michelle, I know what you're saying, but let me also let you know. There is a legal implication to the accusation, okay? And you have to understand that because there is a court case, there is something brewing, that you have to be very cautious what you establish as fact. What you may know may not be what the general public know. So you have to be very cautious, because you have to save name, save face. No, I get what you're saying.
I'm not talking about putting the story out there. I'm talking about holding those authority accountable, like bringing it to their attention. Hey, this is not acceptable. If somebody is accused of such a crime, then they should be suspended until further time, not placed somewhere where others are vulnerable.
Yeah, and that
Well,
is
let me
true.
That's
tell you,
crazy.
The reason why
all
he
of them
was,
know. All of
But
them
that's
know.
crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
Dr. Patu.
yeah. That's the craziness. That's the
Mm-hmm.
craziness. You know? Yeah,
And
yeah,
Michelle, one of the reasons why he was moved from where he was before was because of media pressure, and he's now been
yes,
placed in someplace else. So we have to be proactive to put the fire under it too.
But I
You know,
still happen
you
more.
yeah,
cannot see things
Happen more
happening.
than
And
yeah.
believe you me, Michelle, and Dr. Pancho and everyone watching, I really don't care for people like that. I have no
Mm-mm,
problem in putting them on blast. But as of
mm-mm.
today, let me tell you guys, and you guys probably don't know that, we get a lot of suits, legal suits. For me, just sitting in the car here, from the time I did the show, I probably get about 10 legal suits coming my way, right? So I have to be, I have
Okay.
a lawyer on my staff. And just as of today, I had
Yeah,
a letter that came to me based on a previous mention of a certain story that we ran right here on the program. So this happens, and I
yeah,
don't really, you don't scare me in any way, but we just have to be right. We have to get the information, we have to get the facts, and then I have no problems putting it out there. I have no problems.
yeah,
If I think
yeah.
we were to hit that level, I know the Ride Along family is gonna bail me out. To nail these individuals. I promise you that we are going to put them out and we're going to put them on blast and let them put them on defensive. And that is why we're here. And seriously, but listen, guys, we almost out of time. I wanna get call to action. Michelle, I'll start with you. What do we need to do? What are we as a society, as a media, as a group, as a as people in the community? What do we have to do to trigger a change in what's happening right now? Michelle, what do you have to say?
what do we do to trigger a change? I guess we start by holding our leaders accountable, because one of the things, Ingrid, what I realize, we think as citizens we only have a voice or a say during a general election where we vote. But when we vote,
Mhm.
we put people there to represent us and represent our interests. Again, children cannot protect themselves. So we need everybody on board. You need the parents, you need teachers, you need the lawmakers, you need politicians to put in programs that will be, whoa, sorry. Yeah, to put in programs and policies that will be beneficial to them. We also need a safe house with all these statistics, and it does make me wonder, what is the purpose of carrying out research if we are not using this research to better society? So, for example, Dr. Pancho spoke to the statistics. We spoke to the three, one in three, right? Where is a safe house for these children? Why when they report sexual crimes, they have to go back in the home where they have to face their abusers, knowing that these abusers are at large because they are placed on bail, and there is interaction with the victim. So there's a lot that we need to do, and it starts with us as individuals to recognize first that is a problem, and secondly, to do what we can in helping the issue. The fact that it doesn't affect you doesn't mean that it shouldn't concern you.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, I like that. I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Dr.
yeah.
Pancho, how do we trigger a change for me? I don't want this to only be a talk. I don't want this to just to be like a
No, no,
yeah, but some call to action. What do we need to do?
Junior. Our lawmakers, our politicians, our people in in NGOs, they have the statistics. The same statistic that you read is from the CDB. CDB has its branches, its arm, its twigs all over the Caribbean. So the statistics are made available. I know them. I see them. I see the booklets coming from PAHO, WHO, CDB, wherever OECS has a whole list of research. It therefore means that our leaders, we have the information. What is needed is for someone to stand up and say, you know what, let's facilitate the research and the statistics. Let's do something big and bold. We can find external donors, Junior, for many, many things. Look at what we're finding money to fund. Trust me, we can find international and regional donors to fund certain aspects of life in Grenada, especially when it comes to women, children, and the vulnerable part of the population. We can find it. So we talk about it and we want it to change. We are not talking, Junior, about it because it is trending or it's because it makes for good conversation. We're talking about it because we're fed up
Yeah.
to see it day in, day out. I get the calls, Junior. I get the calls. I see people, I see children, I see women, and it doesn't get anywhere else because our laws are weak and our infrastructure and support system are practically non-existent.
Mm. Yeah.
And that is troubling.
Yeah. We guys, I thank you guys for the conversation. And in this program, this type of programs, I would hope if people see this as an essential kind of program to tune into. But some people don't. They don't see it as essential. They like the bacchanal sometimes. But this is not the bacchanal. This is where we need to do proactive things to save our community. Our children are dying. Our children are being abused. Our children are affected by this. And if we don't see this as an essential part, this is the future. And it doesn't look good. It looks bleak. We're not taking care of our children. Dr. Patrick, thanks for the conversation. Michelle, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. And we are going to keep the fire blazing here on Ride Along for the people who continue to perpetrate crimes against our kids. Thank you, guys. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Junior. Goodbye. Ride Along, listeners.
All right, guys. So listen. This was a very important conversation. It's a needy conversation. We need to have this type of conversation and bring the statistics and actually make change happen. Sometimes you can't beg for it because the people and them who are at the helm, they're not as hungry for the change as the community. So we have to make that change and we have to keep pounding it and keep pounding it and keep pounding it. And that's why we're here. And I think people like advocate like Michelle, she's very active. I also saw Cassandra Mitchell, strong advocate for a lot of things that's happening, and I know that Cassandra get a lot of backlash when she come out and speak about certain things. Everybody look at it from a political lens. Oh, you're attacking the administration because you don't like this one, or you don't like this one, or you're for this one, or you're for that one. I personally don't give a damn who they think I'm for or against, right? I speak out personally about things that I don't like. If I think that something is not in my belief, I don't care which political party does it, I speak out against it. And I think that if someone is in power and has the ability to make change and they decide not to make the change, they are aiding and abetting with, or they like what's happening. Because it would continue to happen unless you do a damn thing. If you sit up and you don't do nothing, it would not magically fix the problem. Seriously. So I'm calling on, first let's look at the lawmakers, the people who are tasked with the pen and the power to make change. Get off your asses and do something to fix this problem, right? It's a big problem in our community. Now, people in our community, we too could push the change if we put pressure on the people who we elected to represent us, to speak for us. Put pressure on them so they have to do the right thing. Or when election come, vote them out. Don't care who they are. If they're not representing the need of the people, if they're not representing the voice of the people, vote them out. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Simple. Anyway, guys, I really love this conversation here with Dr. Pancho and Michelle. I think that a lot could be done of it. But we don't just, make change by sitting and talking and laughing and having this little. You make change by keeping strong and pushing forward. Right, call to action and don't falter. And I see so much people so excited about things, and all of a sudden, when it's not popular in the media no more, they just forget about it. Come on, come on. If you're serious about something, if you for something, you are for it. Whether it's popular or not popular, whether it's draw views or don't draw views, you got to stand for something. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people don't like me, because I don't like bullshit. I seriously don't like bullshit. If something don't really come in my vein that it don't rub me the right way, I speak out about it. And that's why sometimes, all of these things come my way. People might post things and say things because I step on the con. And I don't care. Sometimes they might be a friend of a friend. I don't care. It doesn't really bother me. They do bullshit. We're gonna talk about it. Point blank simple. Sorry, it might be you next. You do something stupid, we are going to talk about it, and we're going to put you on blast. And it doesn't matter that you're a top fan. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a supporter. You're going to feel it, right? And let's talk to our brothers. Let's talk to our brothers. Let's talk to our men. Let's talk to our nephews. Let's talk to them. Seriously, let's talk to them. Let's talk to them. Let's engage in conversation, right? And parents, be very, 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 be conscious of your children, right? Know and understand your children's behavior, because oftentimes they won't come to you and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is what happened. Oftentimes kids are scared to talk to their parents. I mean, they should have a avenue where they could come to their parents and talk, but some kids, they don't have that, right? So they do things. They might start a fight. They might start to do things, off the cuff and different things. We as parents need to be able to identify those problems, right? And start conversation to understand, right? I'm happy that my son, we talk about all kinds of stuff. I'm happy that we are in that type of vein. And a lot of parents need to get there with their children, where they could talk to them about anything. That's all I gotta say. It was a mouthful, though. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being a part of our program today. This is Ride Along for today, Monday. After the program finished, still share it, because more people need to see this. All right, more people need to see this. What I gotta talk about? Riders, the Ride Along headphones doing well. Thanks to you, riders. And we're looking for some ambassadors, right? We're looking for some ambassadors. If you are a part of Ride Along, you have a page, or you have a platform, and you want to become an ambassador, brand ambassador, we encourage you to apply to become a brand ambassador. Now, as a brand ambassador, there's a few things that you get. Of course, you get some of the latest product. We have a range of products, but you also get a unique promo code, right? You get a unique promo code, and everybody who shop on the page and use your promo code, you get like points and like discount and stuff, right? So we're gonna put the application up for folks who want to become a brand ambassador for riders. If you want to become a brand ambassador, you have a Facebook page of over 1,000 followers. You too could become a brand ambassador. For more information, you could inbox Ride Along Live to know how you could become a brand ambassador, get your own promo code, and save and get paid really for becoming a brand ambassador for the riders. Yeah, man. Yeah. All the top fans, all the viewers, everybody should try to become a brand ambassador, because you guys are brand ambassadors already. You're already on the program. You're already here, and you enjoy the program. You should be a brand ambassador. Everybody should be a brand ambassador. Yeah. I was showing you guys earlier. My favorite headphones are these. This is my favorite one, and it's really, really, really cool. These headphones, it fits right behind your head like so, and it goes over your ear. Let me show you guys. And it's perfect for sports. So it goes here and it goes right over your ear. See, it doesn't go inside of your ear. It goes right over your ear. And that's for people who run, or you jog, or you swim, or whatever, right? This headphones does not fall off, Whatever you do, it don't fall off. It stays on your head, right? You could do a flip flop. You could flip in the air and it don't fall off your head. In fact, you could take a shower and listening to music or talking to someone. I know some people say, I don't want to talk to it, so I can take a shower and have a headphone in my ear. Some people do it, but this is waterproof, so you could do that safely. This is my favorite, and the audio is mwah, music and everything. These are the solo, and you can get it right now at ridersong.com. That's ridersong.com. Get these solo on the website. Also, you could get these. These are, of course, my favorite. And we also have our Riders DJ headphones, all available right now at ridersong.com. That's ridersong.com. And also, guys, I got to tell you guys about Grenada Independence. Grenada celebrating its 47th year of independence this year. We have the all this merchandise. We have the mask, the hat, the polo. We have the sweater. We have the t-shirts. Yeah, we have the t-shirts. All the colors. We got it right here. So we want you guys to see that's the red. Look at that, good angle. See? All right, so that's the red. We got the green. Right? We have the black and we also have the yellow. So what I got else in it? What else I got in the back? Anyway, guys, all this stuff is available on the website right now. Go get it. Thanks again, guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a great night. And check me tomorrow. Bye-bye. Peace out.
And I know that's hard to...
You gotta be firm in this time, son. You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever shine just to stay alive. That simple means it. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me a stick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a lion. Strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Strength. No weakness, show me a lion. Everybody strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. Everything has to humble. I'm a go-getter. I just go hard. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God. That simple means say, nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me a stick. I will.
You're constantly thinking of food, but sometimes you just don't want to cook or want something a little different. That's when you call Tasties, preparing meals that you really love. Tasties, our mouth-watering food, would have you coming back every day. But hold on, we only prepare meals Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for now. Call early because we have a lot to serve and we would love to serve you. Tasties, we prepare the meals you love to eat. From macaroni pie to baked chicken, provision dumpling and saltfish, stewed chicken, curry chicken, baked chicken, rice and peas, salads, and more. Please call for daily menu. Call 425-0624 or 403-0411. You can pick up your meals from us or we deliver to you. Tasties, food that's delicious.